everybody.
Hey, what's going on? It's the One and One Sports Show. I am Dante.
And I'm Shawnee.
All
Let
right,
me see.
so
I'm just trying to look at our. I'm just trying to make sure I got all our topics we're gonna discuss. 'Cause we actually got a fully loaded show today.
definitely.
So I guess the first thing, I guess the main the main I guess picture or topic that you saw on the thumbnail is Shannon Sharpe is leaving FS1 and mainly Undisputed. So what are your thoughts about it?
I'm happy about it because I ain't gonna lie. I was actually talking to my brother about it before the show, and it's like it's so tough to watch Skip Bayless, and it's like I don't like to support him. The things that he's done, and I know it's about Shannon, but it's also about him because he's leaving the show. And I think if he was with a more respectable host, he could be there. But just the things like when he made the parallel about Dak and leadership and suicide, and this is like, bro, you can't touch on these topics. He definitely touches on these topics just to get clout. And I figured like, why be with someone that's gonna do it that much? Everybody does it in that world. Him and the guy from Around the Horn and Stephen A. Smith made this debate culture. I give them three the credit from Cold Pizza to First Take to now Undisputed. And so it's just like he had a good run there. And my brother was mentioning that, like, if you look at it, some people say Skip gave him the opportunity. But if you look at it, Skip, he really gave a lot of credibility because you're across the way from a Hall of Famer, a Hall of Fame football player, that it wasn't one of those, picking straws. It was like, no doubt, he was a great player in his era. Every time it's a top list, he's put up there as far as the tight ends. And he did a good job. He did a good job of not only for someone that didn't even like to watch it, I'm gonna watch the clip. Oh, he said this about this team, or and his antics with the LeBron, the Miles and Yak, like all the entertainment he brought to it. And on the football side, I'll say the knowledge. Basketball wise, it always gets dicey when those guys are pro athletes and they get into talking about the sports that they don't know as well. But on the football side, it was like in the entertainment, like those clips, they were showing like that clip with him and Orlando Scandrick. He was like, "Why are you up here with me?" And I was like, "Because he was like 12 years." And I was like, 12 years, he had a good career, but you was getting beat. He was, and so he was being raw with him. And so like, yeah, it's good. It's gonna be good to see that. And now if I want to see that, I can watch it without feeling guilty because I don't want to, Skip is just, he's the worst. So I'm happy for him in the move. I wish him the best. I wonder if it's gonna be a bidding war because I know he's upped his stock since the time he started over at FS1. I know he has.
I believe his club Shay Shay something that belongs to FS1 too, or that's his. I'm not sure if his club Shay Shay on his YouTube belongs to him in full, or if that's also kind of related to Fox Sports. I think it belongs to Shannon Sharpe, but I know I guess he could put more time into that. I believe it was that it was the whole debate they was having. Skip and his just infinite love towards Tom Brady, and when he mentioned they was going back and forth, and Skip mentioned that Shannon Sharpe, he basically downplayed Sharpe to favor Brady, pretty much demean, sound like he was just demeaning Sharpe, and that whole back and forth argument that you saw on TV. Because I don't know if you know, because Stephen A. Smith actually has his own YouTube show now,
Yeah.
and he was talking about it, and I believe I saw somewhere else that was talking about it, and it was that conversation really because everybody was looking, thinking it was the whole Damar Hamlin uh,
Mhm.
debate or whatnot that kind of was the straw that broke the camel's back,
I think it was that
but
one.
I think it definitely didn't help. It piled it on, but I think that whole debate when um they was going back and forth about Tom Brady, and then Skip took a shot at Sharp, and that's when Sharp took his glasses off.
Yeah, put your glasses back on.
Put your glasses on back on. So people were saying at that time, um, when they saw that, they was like, okay, they knew that show was going to be on like a slope, a downward slope from there. And then just so happened the Hamlin thing happened, and it was a snowball, just a snowball effect after that. So I believe because I was asking, I remember I put it online when the finals was over, because I didn't know at the time, and I post the comment that when the finals was over,
Yeah,
and
it was going on.
they was I was asking like, okay, now that the finals over, because the whole thing was Shannon Sharpe's contract was going to end after the finals.
Mhm.
So pretty much right after the finals over, I asked, okay, now that the finals is officially over, is Sharpe is he gone right after game five and whatnot, and pretty much right when I put that put that post on the internet, he's on Undisputed,
Yeah,
all crying and stuff, giving his goodbye speech
yeah.
to Skip.
They
So
met
I'm like,
literally.
okay, well I guess that answers right there. So as they say, they was on the show for 7 years. Um, it's a huge commitment with that show. I know some people have an issue with some of the debate TV, but I'm like, I don't really understand why, because they basically taking what you do, barbershop talk and whatnot, and they just put it on TV. That's all it is. Now,
Yeah,
a lot of time, the people who are on TV, Skip Bayless, Stephen A. Smith, they have, even before TV, they have a lengthy amount of years in journalism,
yeah,
just whatever. So a lot of time they know what they're talking about, because they got connections everywhere. Especially Stephen A. Smith, he has connections everywhere. I'm pretty sure Skip does too, but since he's older, I don't really know if too much players really include Skip on the loop at times. Stephen A. Smith is more connected to like NBA front offices and just NBA players to this day, so he's more, even NBA legends. He's more connected to them compared to Skip, because I don't know, I just don't know if
well,
Skip is really connected too much like he was in the
Skip
past.
Skip is not. I think Skip kind of got as my, and it's crazy. My dad used to say those things, and I used to be like, social media wasn't around, and so I didn't know. Like, he's like, yeah, he's like, son, he got ran out of Dallas. I was like, ran
Yeah,
out.
during that whole, because he
So
was one of the main ones. He was in Dallas when that whole SMU stuff was going on,
he
and
was in Dallas from there because I wanted to say when they did the Pony Excess, he was talking
hmm
about it because that, and I remember it. I was like, that showed how young I was. I was like, there were two papers. He was like, yeah, there was like two papers, and then the other one converged, and then it was just the morning news. Because all I ever knew was the morning news and the Forest Star Telegram. So it was like, yeah, he did this and that, and that book and the Aikman stuff. Like I was like,
yeah,
I
Aikman
always
don't
thought,
care
no
about him.
way. I was like, Daddy, no way he did that. It was like he was like telling you, I couldn't just Google it. Now that I see, I was like, damn, he's a fool. And so like he was tainted in my view for that. And so he's not gonna really get that access with athletes like that unless they like come on the show or whatever. And then they've done things to try to endorse him, like the whole wasn't anything feels forced. The
The which one?
that feels
Oh,
forced.
oh,
Where it's just like, he did the song and then like, Drip Bayless and all of that. It's like, hey, it's cool. It looks cool for a little bit, but it's just like it feels forced. And I guess for me, the part of it being manufactured, like I like the barbershop element where it's like, even if this is wild and crazy, this is kind of like your thought process. But like you've heard people from the industry, from Scott Van Pelt to many others, that have been like, hey, he's good at what he does, but it is people that have been on the set is like, okay, I'm just gonna take this point, you take that point, let's go clash it out. I like that part of it. I don't like, but if it's a point like different people said, I know we're gonna talk about the Nuggets and give them their praise later. But someone like a Bomani Jones, he has been someone that like, hey, he's been beating the drum to be like, Jokic is really good, like really, really good. And I know Nick Wright is his boy, and he's been like, hey, he's an overrated MVP. And now like those tweets are resurfacing. Is like, remember you said this? Just like last year when it was like Dominique Foxworth with the how many championships the Warriors gonna win anymore, and he put up the double zeros and all that stuff is like resurfacing because it's like, hey, it's the time people to get their get back. But I don't know, man. I feel like whoever replaces him there, it's it's a slow march to the end of that show. Him
I
leaving,
heard,
I think it's a
I
slow
heard
march.
rumors. I heard rumors it's gonna be Sean McCoy. Uh, I don't really know how. I
I
don't
don't.
really know how
He
that
needs to.
go.
He's perfect for the show he's on Speak.
Yeah.
He fits the demographic of, and it's crazy because like now it's become such a big deal. You have an Eagle person, you have a Cowboy person, and then like football season, you can constantly clash and get ratings and get him to say stuff, even if it's absolutely crazy. Even if he backtracks and does whatever, it's a good deal for him to have that dynamic on Speak with Joy Taylor show. So it'll be interesting. Who's interested in it? And I listened to Marcellus Wiley, who just left FS1, I want to say end of last year or this year. He's been talking on his YouTube channel and saying that, like, look, you're gonna have to get a black guy to go, go against Skip. He said Nick Wright will be great, but that dynamic does help the show. And he's mentioned that Emmanuel Acho will be somebody that would fit, but he said
Hmm.
Emmanuel Acho kind of he wants to be the man, and so he said
Yeah.
that's kind of he said that's kind of what happened with him going out. He's like, yeah, Macho was, he basically said he undercut him. He said,
Yeah. I remember
in not
watching
so
that
many
from
words.
Marcellus. He's saying,
Yeah,
he's saying Acho is a good dude, but like you said,
yeah,
Acho is trying to get his, and
hmm
he I don't want to say he's not sneaky about it, but he's trying to get his, and
yeah.
if it kind of stiff on one person out the way to get there, he's gonna
I mean,
stiff on that person out the way.
that's not a bad mentality. Well, it is. It's not the best mentality to have
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
sports side. You can understand it, but I look at it from this for me, just from the outside looking in. He was a super highly successful high school player. Goes to play football at Texas, has a successful career there, and then you go to the next level and you're not. So this is your next chance to be really great at something, and you don't have to put a time limit on it. Like, okay, my knee's about shot. I've been doing this for 12 years. I'm done. You can do this for 20. You can do this for 15 to 20 easy. So yeah, he's trying to get in that position, which I'm not the biggest fan of his. Like sometimes he makes sense of, but a lot of times he doesn't. And so but me and my friends were spitballing, just saying, hey, how you feel about what if Shannon? No, I know he's going to, because that's the thing in media now. You do your regular media gig, but you have something individual that's your own. So if
Hmm.
you leave this position, you can still keep your name out there and get something else. Do you think he'd be a better fit at Showtime, Fox, excuse me, Showtime, HBO, or NFL Network?
Sharp would be better for either Showtime or HBO because he likes to talk about a variety of things. I remember on the ESPN, and he probably could do this too because Stephen A. Smith said he wouldn't mind including him on. They got a rotation. They basically got
Yeah,
Stephen A. versus the world, and he wouldn't mind uh, include him in the rotation. He just don't want he didn't want it to be every day because he don't nobody there besides Stephen A. and Molly. They're the only everyday people on that show.
yeah. And she's more of the moderator, so that
Yeah,
fits.
so I think I think with Sharp because he likes to talk about a variety of things. NFL Network, he just be talking football all the time.
Yeah,
But if he goes to between Showtime or HBO Sports, he'll be able to talk. He knows a lot of stuff. He can focus on football. He can talk about, it's more open to him.
yeah.
NFL Network just, be in the box. Now I heard like usually like NFL Network, NBA TV, and MLB. I don't know if it's still like this, but I remember they used to say like the working atmosphere for those networks. That's basically a lot of the former players go to after they play. I heard they
hmm
have a good atmosphere, so the players feel real comfortable when they go there. Um, like I said, but that was like in the recent past. I don't know how it is, especially NFL Network. I don't know how it is today, because they had NFL Network had. I think they used to be a whole lot more open to their NFL players being there, but unfortunately, they've been having like all these scandals and stuff and whatever
Yeah.
involving some of their personalities. So I don't know if they kind of lock stuff down or what. But but yeah, with the whole undisputed thing, because it's just they definitely made their. What I did like about undisputed though, when there was other topics like more serious topics. I mean, First Take does it too, but some stuff they don't talk about compared to Skip. Skip is more willing to talk about
Yeah.
controversial stuff. I mean, it's not a secret. He haven't made a secret. He loves what he do so much. Like he admitted he's selfish about it. He didn't want any kids because he didn't want to interfere with his career. So, but it was just they was always talking about like you're saying they have that whole because I don't know if it was I randomly ran across it. It was a YouTube clip or something that Jay Williams or ESPN. He was on somebody's podcast, Pat Beverly's podcast,
Huh.
and they was asking him Jay Will some questions because I think Jay Will's contract with ESPN ex,
It's coming
is
up.
set to expire sometime this summer.
Hmm.
So they was asking him what he like. He brought the point that with them debate shows, he's not really a fan of okay, you take this side and you take this side, so we can go back and forth on a TV show. And I think Undisputed is more hardcore on that than First Take because
Hmm.
mainly it's just them two debating each other. Well, First Take they got that whole rotation thing, and even with the whole rotation thing, they actually have more people as far as more personalities on that show. One show they may have what four, excluding Stephen A. He may be talking to 4 or 5 different people. And so with Undisputed, it's just Skip and Shannon, and they always got to talk about the Cowboys thing. They do on First Take too, but the
Yeah.
Cowboys, Tom Brady, the Lakers, and Sharpe's infatuation with LeBron. So yeah,
Yeah.
but
Which
them
is
two
interesting.
they started more naturally though. Skip and Shannon started more natural, but 7 years later it fizzled out.
Yeah, it does, and it's the thing that happens. I just want to see. I want to see like what's the appetite for these type of shows and how do things go because I think sports is more geared to more so like especially from the standpoint of everybody can get a lot of information. Only the top people are gonna get the top information. But what other viewpoints are you adding? Like shows like such as ours, like people doing independent things aside from the major networks that have their own voice. Speaking to people, giving their opinions. People might want to respect it or might hate it and just kind of going into that world and realm and branching out. So I think things have been this way for a while, so things are due for a switch, and
Mhm.
so it was a good time for them to go ahead and switch gears. I mean, plus, I mean, you gotta look at it, man. Skip is up there, so I don't know. I think he's 71, but you look good
Skip
for a
it,
71.
he's in very good
You know,
shape. He's getting he's just stuck on his because Skip is historian. And so a lot of people respect that about him. But he just so stuck on his opinion about stuff that he would just
yeah,
make outrageous takes. He'd be like, "Come on, Skip,
yeah.
do you actually believe that?"
He does. I know. I've heard from so many people that have been on those sets, and it's just like, no, he
He
does not
actually
believe this
do.
stuff. But some stuff he does. But I've heard like for a fact, like not like pointing it out black and white, but it's just like he does not believe this. Like some of the, I'll say this: some of the outrageous LeBron stuff is like you don't believe this, and if you do, you just probably one of the more people that are just absolutely like you can't ever get on anybody else's fan base, whether it be the or I say stand base the Jordan stands, the LeBron stands, the Kobe. You can't get on any of those type of bases because if you believe a lot of the stuff that you say, so I don't know. It'll be interesting to see things going forward, but Man,
But one more point about I forgot, because LeBron won 4 titles, and I forgot which
yeah,
title that he won, and I don't know if it was Skip was still with ESPN or he was just leaving. But I remember when LeBron left the title, he won a title. A lot of the ESPN personalities, I think it was when he won the one in Cleveland. I think it was
the
probably when he
one in
won the one in
16.
Cleveland. Yeah, so Skip, I believe, I don't know if he was already gone by the time or not, but a lot of the ESPN personalities was like congratulating LeBron because it was a hell, he came back 3-1
Yeah,
and whatnot, and Skip was still trying to, throw, I think, tweets or whatnot. It looked like he was trying to lower the meaning of when LeBron won that championship. And I remember, I think it was Scott Van Pelt or whatnot. They tweeted back and forth. They was really feeling some type of way, like basically saying that Skip needs to find a new axe to grind because this one that you are constantly critiquing LeBron James or whatever, because like, dude, this dude just won another title. And they beating an excellent team in the Warriors, and
yeah,
that's still your axe to grind. So I just remember that whole time frame. Hell, even his former ESPN coworkers was just getting tired of that whole LeBron. This
yeah.
he was such a
It-
big Jordan fan, but they was getting
Let it
tired of it.
go,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
yeah, let it go. It's one of those deals to where I don't know if people that love Jordan so much realize this. When y'all bring that person's name up in the conversation, you're doing it for a reason. You're doing it because you want this guy to be exalted, but it's like my thing is they got to stop playing professional ball as much as like somebody said it today. They was just like what should have been Jordan's last shot, and I was just like, yeah, but it wasn't. We remember him going to the Wizards and having mixed results. We'll say we'll be polite, and it's just like, hey, that's not how it ended. It doesn't always end good for everybody. These guys don't know how to quit. This is all they've done to get to this point. So it's like sometimes they don't realize like you could just let and give this guy his props and then give someone else theirs just because it's their time, it's their due. And but like speaking of giving people their props and their due, I had a buddy of mine, Alex, was like, "Hey man, can we go send some U-Haul people, some UPS people to Joel Embiid's house, get that MVP, get it to Denver, and get it to Jokic so he could have had the Finals MVP, regular season MVP, and the championship. And like because that would have been the only thing that you can always put an asterisk on that. But certain MVPs have asterisks, and that just happens. And so I think this one, winning this Finals MVP already with a two on the mantle. Um, I know people they don't care for Chris Broussard, but I think especially here locally in Dallas Fort Worth, uh, if you were to say that Jokic is better than Dirk, people would give you pushback. But he has been, I mean, he hasn't had multiple finals trips, but he just, first time he went to the finals, he handled business in 5 games. He looked excellent, put up great numbers. And it's just like, there's nothing more to say about the guy other than just give him props. And, you know, I know you mentioned about potential dynasty because this team has been together for a while. They've been together a while, and that's part of what made them so good. I'll say 2 things. Some of the things that made them so good: continuity, a hell of a player in Jokic, Jamal Murray being fully back, and at the end of the season, because they've known what injuries have taken a toll on them and derailed their chances, they were resting guys. Those guys were rested and ready and locked in. I like that you say that, Sean. You have said this and beat this drum, so I'm gonna give you your props. He was like, Jokic was not worried about nothing but this title, and he wasn't worried about the MVP, this and that. He let that take care of itself. Now he got 3 MVPs, 2 regular season, 1 finals, and Vegas already got them as the odds favorite for next year. The champagne ain't even dry yet, and they
Yeah,
already
they,
got
they
them
they
ready.
they
So it's
do
like,
that. Usually the champion team is the favorite going to next year. I just think the NBA got so much parity uh
yeah,
nowadays. That's why I slowed down on the dynasty talk. I was like, okay, we gotta wait and see.
You gotta wait
And
and see. You gotta at least win two before we talk that.
yeah, yeah, because they were saying the same exact thing about the Bucks. You know, uh, what they were saying. Because what they saying about Jokic now, they were saying the same thing about Giannis. But the
Yep.
only thing different about with Giannis is man, somebody Kwame was going after Sharp for crying. Kwame Brown go after everybody, man. That dude,
Man, Kwame gonna go after everybody, man.
yeah, he
What's
go
going
after
on, Luke?
everybody.
What's going on, the Loves? Yeah, man. Skip definitely needed him. He brought a bunch of credibility and changed the situation over at FS1. So and I agree with you on that. But I'm glad you said that about Dynasty. This is how many different champions? We got the Nuggets, the Warriors, the Suns. Hold on, wait. That's not the Suns. I mean the Nuggets, the Warriors, the Bucks, the Lakers, and then the Warriors. So in the last 5 years, we've had a few different champions. And so it's kind of like, other than that, those Warrior teams that were that juggernaut, I don't see another team like that coming along for a while as far as that juggernaut,
Mm-mm.
just because of the way they're trying to curb the super teams. So I don't know if it'll be a dynasty, but I think it could be one of those. It could be one of those Spurs type runs where you got your head coach, he's solid. You got your superstar, you got your co-star, and it's just kind of like you roll with that, and then you rotate everybody. I can see at some point money gets tight. Michael Porter
I
Jr. gotta go.
I look at
You
him
know,
as like the
however,
Milwaukee Bucks. The people were saying the same thing about Milwaukee because of the player they had with Giannis.
oh,
But the
hold
only
on,
thing
hold on.
about
I'm
what's that?
sorry, Jay. I'm not
Oh
gonna
yeah,
let you go and
Jay.
say Jimmy was a fraud.
I,
That's
I
too.
was
That's
about
too
to
far.
bring that up. I'm like,
That's
I
too
remember
far,
when
bro.
they were so happy about Jimmy when they lost in the bubble because the effort he gave in the bubble, all this
Hmm.
playoff Jimmy. Now I guess Jimmy didn't. Hell, you can't really say Jimmy. His co
That
I
wasn't good
believe
enough.
his co-workers, his teammates, they, I guess they, because you heard so much during the Celtics series, they kept mentioning about the undrafted players, and all of a sudden when the
Yeah,
finals got here, because I believe
undrafted players.
The Celtics are a better defensive team than the Nuggets, and
Yeah,
players
yeah,
like Struess, Martin, Vincent was just going off on them. And the biggest issue the Nuggets was having was closing out on the three pointers. They was having that issue during the finals. But the only thing that was helping them out, the Heat players couldn't hit a three. They was getting Max Strus before Game 5, because before then I think he only scored 2 points. No, him and Vincent only scored 2 points in a 2 game span. Because Max Strus had a couple of offers. But by far, Game 5 was his best game. He scored like I got what 15 points or something like that. He made some threes after he kept missing so much. And Vincent, that he didn't show up. Martin, he
yeah.
didn't. Them dudes just didn't show up. So Jimmy
Bam is
just
the main guy that showed up. Bam
bam.
showed up
He was
big
the only
time,
consistent.
and he's the guy that's really good. But it's one of those situations though. They need to be in the market just like the Lakers and a lot of teams do. It's hard. I know we talk about guards, and wings, and man, those you could see missing a legitimate big to put in the rotation because that is probably one of the few ways you can beat the Nuggets. Their plus minus with Jokic off the floor is crazy. And when you get those minutes, as soon as he goes to the bench, you need to be making a run at it and try to make him get short rest. Because I remember it in that Lakers series, it was just like, man, it's like, man, Jokic is out. We still down 7. Oh well, that's a problem. And the Heat was just like, they just didn't have it. I mean, they tried Cody Zeller out there, and it's just like,
But like the point I mentioned even before the finals, are like the Nuggets they have more of a knack of making open shots. And
hmm
actually, the Nuggets, especially in Game 5, it's not like they was like hitting. What's up, Hank? Um, and see Marcus bringing back up the Skipper stuff, Skipper Shannon stuff as
Hold
well.
on, Hank.
Um, But the Nuggets wasn't like shooting the lights out in Game Five. The Heat had a chance to win that game even before uh, Butler's 9 straight points in the fourth.
Yeah,
Um, but they just couldn't make open shots. And the Nuggets, with their ability to close and hit open shots, you know, that's what ultimately won them this series. Because the Heat had open shots. They had they looks. They just couldn't hit them. And so I can't put that on Butler because like with any other team, if your star player, role players are hitting their shots, it makes the game easy for him. Well, hell, Butler, you remember, okay, this play is perfectly when he, in the miss when Butler was scoring his 9 points in Game 5. It
yeah,
was that play that he ultimately threw the ball away, where
yeah.
he went into
He went to the lane.
the paint. Everybody in the paint just collapsed on Jimmy. They wasn't worrying about people. That's what forced
No,
Jimmy to stop, and he
and
started
travel.
looking for
Well, he
somebody.
wasn't. He would have traveled,
He
but
just threw the ball
he threw it
exactly.
away, and it became a play between that and then playing like plays where you see Jeff Van Gundy say this. Hey, why did he settle for that three? Bro, he might have settled for that three because he might be done. And I was reading an article, or I didn't get to read it, and so I saw what it was saying, and I could tell what it was alluding to, and I should have bookmarked it. I was on Twitter, and it was like, hey, Jimmy Butler hasn't kind of had over X amount of points in X so many games. It was like, well, what's going on? I was like, and this dude is put on. Well, you got to put on those Herculean efforts, and you play those playoff series where it's like every other day, every other day. Like, yeah, your body's gonna break down. And it's not like he's 25, so I'm gonna say he's in 30s. So it's just like, hey, he had to carry such a load. He's not gonna make the excuses. But I want to bring up something that I've heard from 105.3 or from the radio, and they were like, is Jimmy kind of doing too much with the I got to win a championship thing with the whole when one of the players on the team and the Heat tried to hand him the Eastern Conference championship trophy, and then the whole Hall of Fame. Oh, it doesn't matter. I'm a team guy. It's just like it's kind of he landed on a little thick. But my thing is, the more you win and the more you get to the stage, because now he's made another trip to the finals and come up short. It's a situation where it's like, hey, you got to get a guy his props. Maybe this is truly is his mindset. Maybe if some of the mindset he had, they took some of that in Philadelphia when he was there, maybe they'd have more success. Maybe the other players in the league would have more success with a different mindset. And so I think he's not the problem. He's just if he continues to work on it, if he continues to if he can avoid injury and be healthy come playoff time, if they have to get offensive minded. And I guess the other thing that's tough for them is this. It's cool. They've been making it with that little zone. But hey man, they gotta stop getting guys that are just one dimensional. They can't get the Duncan. They can't get any more Duncan Robinsons. They might have to sacrifice some consistency from three for some more defensive ability. Prime example is KC Kentavious Caldwell Pope. I remember when he was a Laker, it was like you would see the comments, oh KCP this, KC, oh, but then he give you a moment, so it's like, oh, he's on fire and he's competing on defense. That's my thing. You're not gonna lock down the best players in the world, but if you're gonna compete, make it hard for him, or at the very minimum, don't be Duncan Robinson where like Duncan's in the game, he's got the three ball, but he can't defend nobody. We gotta play his own. Like
Yeah,
the
you gotta hide them.
NBA has really transitioned from those kind of guys. Like you remember when the league had the stretch four with the thing? It was
Yeah,
very short lived. And it was like, oh, he's a stretch four. We're gonna close out. He can't dribble. All he can do is pass it off. And then the four slowly but surely became, okay, you gotta be able, if you can't shoot, you gotta be like Draymond, you gotta be able to handle the ball. Or if you can shoot, you gotta be, you can't just be a shooter, you gotta defend. Or in the playoffs, they play you off the floor. They hunt you in pick and rolls. So they have to kind of figure out how they're gonna do with that. And then like the Nuggets, I think Bruce Brown has played his way out to a new contract. So they're gonna have to replace some guys. But I mean they'll still have that core of their team. So I think they'll be just fine.
I'm just over here laughing. Black man talking about Hacho as a coconut. I was just over here looking at the comments, and it looked like folks are just they really giving their opinions about this whole Skip and
Man,
Shannon thing.
man,
And I
Acho,
see,
you're not lying about Acho. I think he went to what's it call it? I think he went to one of these private schools out here in Dallas. So I'm not. He's if you look at the school he went to, and not just to just crap on the guy. Look at the school he went to, and you probably know some guys like that. Grow up in a certain type of neighborhood, you act and move a certain kind of way, and that's what Acho is. Like, yeah,
Look,
like,
Acho, well, Emmanuel Acho, is on Fox, and his brother, he covers college football over here on
yeah,
ESPN. And and I see Marcus, he was saying like Skip is now having candidates for his show. He thinks it might be, I guess, kind of like a what First Take doing, like a round robin type thing.
probably.
I think
I
that
could
I
I
could
could see
I
them
could see
doing
that
that.
working. I could see that working.
I
It's
can see
just
that working because you got
they
to
just
keep
don't
the
have as
show
much
moving.
personalities as ESPN though. So it's just it's gonna be interesting to see that. And
And then you got to
with
see.
that, ESPN, they have their own round robin with their own in-house personalities,
Hmm.
and then they also had the whole Michael Irvin and Mad Dog Russo thing where they are actually,
Yeah,
I don't know what's going on with Irvin right now, but they was actually staples, one for Monday and the other for Wednesday,
yeah.
because they was getting so much
I,
views and stuff.
Jeez. I can see them as much as they're competing because I feel like ESPN is Coke and FS1 is Pepsi. Not like it's bad, but more people drink this one. And so it's kind of like I feel like if they're doing that, I can see them going for that as well. But it's just what I'll say is this: you can be upset about the impact that both Stephen A. and Skip had. And back when I did see what you said, at this point, uh, Wednesday, June 14th, 2023, yeah, I would say that Shannon is just a tad bit more valuable than Skip and Stephen A. Because Stephen A. he's let us down so many times on some of the topics. When it comes to some racial topics, he has let us down a lot, and people did and brothers have not forgotten about that. I will say that and be really truthfully honest. So that's another reason I am glad that Shannon Sharpe is going to go do his own thing, but he's more valuable at this point. But I would say if they go ahead and compete with ESPN and bring the roundtable, that might work because it's a hard sell to work with Skip. It's a hard sell, and I don't think Marcellus Wiley was BSing when he was just like, people don't really want to do that because they hear that he's the end all be all. He's the alpha and omega on the show. That's why you notice like if he doesn't want things to go a certain way, and then he does take the wheel and just takes it. Like he man will sit there. There's so many clips of him. I'm trying to get my point off, and it's just like he won't let the man finish and get his point off. And it's just like something. That's why I don't think Shady McCoy can't do it. He's too young. He's not gonna. He's not gonna go for that. I don't see Shady going for that.
I see Lou Medic mentioned that he wouldn't mind them considering Channing Chowder or Shannon's brother Sterling. I didn't know Sterling Sharp was like in like the media like that. I don't know how he would be
I know he used
as
to be.
far as opinion.
I hadn't heard Sterling.
I
I hadn't
think
heard
he's
him
more.
in
I think he's
a
more
while.
of an analyst, but I don't know about opinion type shows. Because
Yeah,
one thing about those
because
shows, you got to be real dedicated, man, to get up. That's what That's
that's
what
the early
Skip was
wake
giving
up.
props. Because Skip was doing this. This is what he does. He's been doing this for a long time, and he was giving props for Shannon because you gotta. They shows start so early, and I believe First Take is on the East Coast, and I believe
Yeah, they're on
they're
the
on the
east.
West
They're on
Coast.
the west, so they have to wake
Yeah,
up. They
yeah,
both waking up early, but you're getting up early because your audience, you're kind of in the in between where you're doing it.
yeah. Then
Like
you got to get
basically,
up, be there early for
yeah,
production meetings. People forget about
they
that.
got to get up for that. What's the name is kind of the show for the waking up on the West Coast, and that's the herd. He kind of got that sweet spot to where it's just like I'm coming on 11 Central, 9 Pacific time, and then it's lunch on the East Coast. So he kind of has that start where he's like his wake up isn't too bad, but they have to get up,
Yeah,
3, 4, and get
exactly.
going. And so, but it's one of those deals. What you get used to, and I'm pretty sure it's fine. And I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure since he's been there, that his bags went up. So it's like, hey, you can do it, but it's one of those deals where you're covering sports, and it's like, hey, some of the sports I need to be to bed, but some of the sports are still going on. So yeah, they have to do a lot. It's a dedication and a juggling act. So I don't know, man. I'm excited to do another topic when he figures out where he's gonna go and get that situated. But I don't want Mike Malone getting on the 1-on-1 Sports Show. Let me make sure I give the Nuggets enough props so he won't get to
You better if you
talking
yeah, you
bad.
better start off you
You know.
better start off right there. You already started off wrong with saying mentioning it's Michael Malone. You talking about that
Oh,
Michael
sorry, my
Malone?
bad. It's Michael Malone. It's
He better
Michael.
call
It's
in.
Michael
He better
Malone.
call in and correct you.
He'll call in and correct me. You know, my bad, Michael. My bad, homie. So yeah, but I'll say this. I was the way he's salty, he did a good job of keeping the team focused. And so I do think he's a guy that's got some stand power. He was there with them before they improved to this level. So I don't see it being, unless it's an epic collapse, a Mike Budenholzer situation, which you could have already made the statement that he could have been somebody that could have let go. You could always make that. And but the one thing I want to mention is back to the Nuggets. They didn't quite have the same run as the Bucks. And I say it once and I say it again. If people are being objective about it, people get so mad about the bubble. Everybody wasn't healthy except for even Kawhi Leonard was healthy. So that is I know people talk about my guy. Anthony Davis was healthy. Everybody was healthy and played, except for the people that were already out for the season
Hmm.
and well out of playoff contention. So that was like everyone healthy and playing. The 2021 season, ending having the guys take off, start back, play for a bit, play the playoffs, take off, and start back again in December. Start working out again in October. Where it was over in October, start working again in December, November, December. That was a tougher turnaround. We saw more All Stars injured that year than at any time in NBA history. You can, if you wanted to, put an asterisk by that Bucks championship. If you wanted to, I'm not an asterisk person because growing up, you hear, oh, this team won a title, this team won. You hear about Larry Bird won 3, made X amount of finals. Magic went to the finals 9 times. Up in Detroit, the Pistons, the Bad Boys Pistons, they won 2 back to back, and they went. All those teams had some variant for the injuries. This is not NBA 2K, or before it's time, or before that. This is not was it I forgot, the NBA Live, where we could
Hmm.
just simulate and turn injuries off. So injuries happen, but Draymond Green, that still stuck with me, that of the teams that were just the teams in their time, they beat none of those guys or none of the top key players. Like Jokic, you could say, oh, he beat this seed or that seed. He took on those Suns with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. A really formidable pair. Matter of fact, that's the only team that took them to 6 games. Everybody else was five games, or unfortunately 4. In a sweep. So it's just like he handled business, beat them in 6, swept the Lakers. There were in the conference finals, and a quality Heat team. Like at this point, when it comes to the Heat, yeah, I get tired of the Jimmy Butler isn't this. Well, if he's not all of these things, then why aren't the people that we're calling better than him or superstars that are in certain situations? Where are those guys' playoff success? And now, yes, we have Eric Spoelstra. You can definitely, wasn't he on the top 15 NBA coach list for the
Hmm.
75? So you got
Hmm.
him a top 15 coach, and you got Jimmy Butler. Where are the guys that are on the 75 list can't get as far? I don't want to say any names in particular, but I just want to know, like, why can't we just kind of dead that and say, now the one thing I want to dead the talk of questioning Jimmy Butler. And can we get rid of the word heat culture? That it annoy. I get it.
They,
I get it. But let's just give the coach credit, the organization credit, and the best player credit. Let's just give it that, and the
because
heat culture that.
once a team gets on national media, the national media they will wear it out because they don't follow them during the regular season. So a lot of
Yeah,
times when the postseason get here, and if a team is performing well, they just trying to they just keep sticking to this one point because that's really the main point, the only point they really know. They don't they do they stick to whatever narrative about a team, and they always talk to about their star players. And I know we was talking about Jokic for a little bit, and another NBA topic that we wanted to get into was the whole Dame Lillard thing. Matter of fact, and I think I just cleared the notification on my phone. The Wizards and Bradley
Bradley
Beal's
Beal.
agent was looking at potential trading. So really, the two the two biggest players that I can think of right now who
Thank you,
people are
Luke.
always
Thank you for admitting that. I appreciate it. Most people don't want to
the
admit
level
that.
playing
Uh,
field.
Level playing field was like it's level. God, you don't have people yelling at you for the shooting. I mean, it was just which that was a little, that's why Anthony Davis has never shot that well again. And it's just like he's played well in other areas, but he's like I've been wanting that shooting touch back, but it's clear that touch just wasn't quite there. So I appreciate you acknowledging that. I know a lot of times I get called a homer if I call it, so I was just like, hey, there's no asterisk by it, but me, you can like I've seen people literally count his championships and they put the Mickey Mouse years. And then when it's talking about LeBron, I was like, man, say what you
I
want.
don't
Say
know. I don't.
I don't do that.
I guess because it was different. It was different,
Mhm.
but so people think that because it was just a whole different situation, they think it was the competition was affected. I'm like, no. If
Yeah.
anything, like you're saying, like boys, if they had any, cause what was it like a 2 or 3 month gap between when the
Yeah.
season
The,
stopped
the,
and then when the bubble
the
started?
season stopped. The season stopped in March, and I think they reported back to the bubble March. So it was April, May, June, 4 months because I think they came back
Yeah.
around July to kind of
So
ramp up.
players that had any type of knick-knack injuries was able to heal from that. And like you say,
Hmm.
the players who was out, they was out. Whether they was out be a playoff contention, they wasn't in it, or they had a serious injury that required surgery and stuff, they were just gone for the season. But the ones players was able to heal, they came to the playing ball just fresh. Like I say, there was no away home. Everybody's playing the same court. It's just you and the other
Yeah.
team. Y'all balling. Y'all
Yeah.
balling. And I
That's
believe
why that the
I believe
Clippers
shooting was a
losing that
good
3-1
one.
lead was inexcusable in my opinion. And it's just one of those deals to where like I know mentally it was difficult on guys to play. And I did hear that and like you could James might have been there anyway. Day after they lost, James had turkey leg cut, like he back outside. Like it was like they
Oh yeah.
needed that break. They needed that break, but they also say that things that people didn't think about is just like we order stuff from Amazon, so do rich people. And they said they had like a thing for Amazon packages coming, and it was just so many things they had to give way to let that work. Like guys were getting big wine bills. They were drinking wine in recovery. So it was I can't wait for them to do the 30 for 30 or the documentary on the bubble and talk about it, the mental side, because we do respect more of the mental aspect of how people's minds are. But because the best thing I can say it is picture you at your job, but you gotta work at your job in a big, nice, fancy hotel, but you still got to be there with all your employees. The ones you don't like you saw the Rondo situation and the people, his family and that kind of static or whatever. So that's an interesting topic, but yeah, we were already talking about the show topics, and then the Bradley Beal thing had dropped before I could tell you for the
Mhm.
to put it in the show. But I know once I had mentioned Dame, those are kind of in the same boat because I saw an update. Dame, and I'm gonna let you go, Jay. So that's right after I say this, man. I saw Dame basically unlikely to be traded. He hasn't really spoken, so he's staying put. So what that means is the draft is next Thursday. I would say this: if you see them take the pick and do not make a trade, because it's easiest to make that trade on draft night. If you wait till after it, I think you have to wait a month. But I might have to refresh myself on those rules, but I'm pretty certain of that. So if you see them keep that pick, cool. If you see him trade that pick, then I would say they're going to trade it for. I mean, they'll have to swing for the fences for somebody to keep him satisfied. Because I know they took the Shannon Sharpe guy last year, and they got Anthony Simmons, so they're in a tough spot. But Bradley Beal, who's one of the biggest get the bad guys in NBA history,
Yeah.
might finally want to get traded. And it's just like I don't blame him for getting the supermax, the 10-year deal, the no trade clause, and then decide to want to leave. I can understand it. I can understand it. It's just that I've my opinion of him has dwindled, and I think that he can help you win the championship, maybe, but I don't. He can't be the main guy. I don't. I see him as a nice two. I don't see him as a number one player.
Oh, Bill. What's up, Jay?
Yeah. What's up, Jay?
How y'all doing, man?
What's up, man?
Man, doing good, man.
Like Marcus over there
Oh, that's good. That's good.
feeling for Lakers.
I want to say, let me say one thing. God, I hate when my fucking camera freezes. It pisses me off. I want to say congratulations to my man, the Nuggets. I knew they would win. Congratulations to Jokic. You are real, unlike Jimmy B. Fraud, which I found very funny. No, and this needs to be said. I'm gonna be the one to say this. I gotta be the
Y'all
one to
don't
say
like
this.
Jimmy now,
Wait.
man.
So you go.
I gotta say it.
Go
I
ahead.
gotta say it. This
Go ahead.
gotta be said, brother. This nigga a
Go
fraud.
ahead.
Want to know why?
Why?
He'll never be that dude. Last year in 2020, I would have said he was that dude. This year, he's not that damn dude. Want to know why? And you want to know why that was? Not once did he turn
Why?
up. Not once did he turn up in these finals. Not once. I don't give a fuck who was guarding him. He's been guarded by better people all around. So no,
But you gotta.
I don't want to hear that excuse for Jimmy
With
anymore.
saying that, Jay, what about the teammates though? Because the Nuggets were a bigger team,
They were a
so
better team.
they had
They were
size.
consistent.
They had size to kind of contend better against Butler. And I mentioned one player in particular was kind of like a snapshot of how that series went when Butler was making his 9 straight points, but then that final play when he ultimately turned the ball over, when he went into the paint, and then the Nuggets just collapsed all on him, and just it was a dead end. Well, if he had help from his teammates consistently, I think he would have saw a more productive Butler. That dude had no help. The Strus, Vincent, Robinson, and Martin damn sure. What you saw versus Boston, they thought they won the finals back then and took off the Cancun after Boston series. So it gave Denver literally it was Butler, Bam, and even Kyle Lowry. They were the 3 players that Denver were focusing really on the most because they was having a hard time closing out on 3-pointers.
Yeah.
So the Heat had open looks. They just could not hit them at all. So I'm just like, okay, as like Butler can do his thing because I don't think you really didn't see playoff Jimmy only time since the Milwaukee series.
No. Since Milwaukee, bro, that's my
Yeah,
problem.
and he
didn't need to go to-
he still showed up though. He still showed up versus the Knicks. He still showed up at times versus the Celtics. But he just didn't have that supernatural playoff Jimmy games, but he was still showing up. Now the Nuggets, they contained him really good, but I'm thinking like, dude, because his teammates, they weren't there, so they wasn't able to take some of the, like, okay, for example, with the Nuggets, Jokic in Game 5, he went until he took over in the second half. But a lot of that game, his teammates and stuff was keeping them in the game. He was getting open shots made. They wasn't making it at a high clip, but they were still making it. And then you had players like Porter Jr., who wasn't shooting the ball good, but he was making an impact. He kept rebounding every damn thing. You had Aaron Gordon. So you had other players that stepped up to take that pressure off the 2 main guys and allow them to come and take over when the game was done. He just couldn't give Butler the ability to do that. What's up, Hank?
All right.
But
Hey,
yeah,
man.
What's going on?
Go ahead and finish what you were saying about Jimmy though. I was just interested about that point.
Okay. I'm sorry, my camera keeps doing this stupid thing. Hold on, I'm going to take my camera off. I'm getting mad. It's making me look freezing, bro. I ain't got shitty connection. All right. I just want to say this. At least this is just for me personally, and I do get what you're saying, Shawnee. Don't believe I didn't see that. Like I know they were strapping him down perfectly, things of that nature. But I've seen Butler be, bro. You went against too big against Brook Lopez, which was probably bigger than anybody on that damn team, and arguably Giannis is taller than Jokic. Let's just keep it a bean on that one. Those are bigger dudes, and yes, they can hold him down to an sense, but he can still get his shot off regardless. With this, with this, it's like, I think for me, it's coming off like, bro, you're just a one-hit wonder. Is what it seems like. And one playoff you did good because you had to be that way going against Giannis. Of course, that makes sense to me. Against Knicks, I don't expect you to go off on them. They're the Knicks. I don't expect you to go all out against them. You're not supposed to have to, because that's That's my bad. Like psycho fans trying to make that team something they're not because they're not that great. Let's just keep it real. Julius Randle says that all right there. And then with the Boston, my issue with them, they dicked around too much when they had the 3-0 lead. You want to know why that was for me? You are ahead. You emptied the clip out way too soon in that game 3. If you had just played normally like you did with the first 2 games, then you're fine. You save something for like that for the finale, for Ford to end up to make sure that you're good. That is what showed me that they were inconsistent going into that finals when they did stupid shit like that. That wasn't just on Jimmy. That was on the whole team. And say what you will, Killer Martin and them not showing up for like the finals particularly, because I actually did not enjoy these finals. All I wanted was the Nuggets to win. In general, I didn't want them to win because I'm like, I knew they were going to win because they're not going to play with their food like Boston does. That's what screwed them over. Jokic was amazing. Jamal Murray, I'm happy for Jamal Murray. I really am. I'm glad. 1, 2, 3, almost like 2 years of being injured and shit since the 2020 bubble and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the man finally showed up and actually showed people how good he really is, making a name for himself and doing things. Him being locked down by Butler or particularly any other player, he still showed he can create a shot and get a shot off. That's why I like Murray. Jamal Murray's really good. Jokic, I think the better finals for me, because this was not good, would have been Milwaukee versus freaking Jokic. I'd have loved that one better because it's two of the best big guys going at one another, and you would have mostly like. First of all, let's keep it real. I can see that series going back and forth. I can clearly see that one going back and forth. And trust me, we would have loved it. We would have said something about like, if Jokic would have beat Giannis or Giannis would have beat Jokic, this would have solidified both their careers, because they're going to, because these are the top 5 best players in the playoff series, is what we would have said. But with this, it's just like, bro, Jimmy Butler's legacy is literally he chokes in every freaking finals now at this point. Well, actually, I won't say he chokes in every finals. He choked in this one. 2020, he actually put up a fight against the Lakers. That version of Jimmy was nowhere in this damn finals. Nowhere ever. Or last year, the motherfucker, pardon my French, had his ankle injured. Showed up on that game in that game 6 against Celtics. Was putting up numbers. Being that dude like he's supposed to be. I don't know what's wrong with him. Personally, and like I said, I know who he was guarded against. I get all that. The thing is, he still manages to get shots off even if he's being guarded in some way, because he finds a way to create new ways for his game to be better. Actually, he updates every I would say he updates every few years about how to be better and stuff. But with this, and also, by the way, I do know the whole thing with his dad now, and that may be a factor too. But I don't want to get that excuse too. I'm sorry, I don't want to get that excuse too much because you know why? If LeBron had that issue, he would still play and put up points and still go see his dad.
What you got to say on the whole the final stuff or whatever else you got, Hank?
Man, look, I'm surprised they went for 5 games. So congratulations to Miami for even winning the game. I thought it was gonna be a quick sweep, but hey, congratulations to Joker, man. To me, he should have been, back to back MVPs. I mean, I don't know why they didn't give it to him. Maybe because he's an international player, or what they consider a white player, or one of those YMCA All-Star type players. I don't know. But the way he played, he showed he was really the MVP, and that's why he won the MVP out of the tournament. So, fellas, I can't stay long because I got to get on another platform, but I just want to make sure I can show y'all brothers love. And I appreciate y'all letting me even rock with y'all, man, because y'all know on my Wednesdays, I normally got Wednesday, but whenever I can get up and rock with you, I do it. And black man, yo black ass better get these dudes a 2-hour shows, goddamn it. I'm pushing.
My
I
brother.
got you. Appreciate it, man.
Y'all be
Appreciate
safe,
it, man.
man. All right.
Man, be safe,
All right.
man.
Yes,
All right,
sir.
hey, brother, you be safe, brother.
All right, Jay.
But all right, Jay. I can't let it be said. If we were to take the name out and just edit the name and be like, he showed up and edit the name and the finals out, do you know who you talking about? It would sound like you're talking about James Harden. And my thing is, I'm sorry. That's what sounds like you said he's talking about. And that's a bit too far. I understand as a fan, he did not perform to the level of expectation that he's risen to. And I will say this, he said emptied the clip. No, he emptied the clip when those games against the Bucks because like he dropping all those points and doing all that, bro, that takes a toll. Especially that first round, it's easier to do. You do have the more rest. Second round, you still have some, but hey, man, conference finals, every other day. Even though in the finals you're resting, but I don't know how much it had to do with the altitude or whatever, but it's kind of like, hey, there is more of a toll on him. So I'll take the thing is I respect him. I hope he gets it. I hope he gets a ring. So it kind of like because the ring sometimes he's a great player. He's a Hall of Fame caliber player. If you go and look at the totality of his career, especially coming from the 30th pick and all the way to what he's done, like that is, I mean.
Yeah, I don't hate him. Don't get twisted. I don't hate the.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
Hall of Famer for sure, but the thing is, for me, what will solidify it is when he finally gets the ring and actually be that guy like he's supposed to. Like I said, if he never put up, I'll be honest, I'll say it right now, I wouldn't put him on his pedestal if he had never put up these numbers before. I'm not even talking about the 56 game. I'm talking about the last 3 years he's been. Well, it's 4 years now, but the last 2 years because 1 year he got swept. Nobody like to talk about that. It's because that was a bad team. And they weren't gonna do shit particularly, but 2020 all the way to 2022 last year, like bro, he was making the name for himself.
Yeah,
I'll be honest, he was never meant to be this type of caliber player, bro. So let's just keep it real right there. He was never meant to be.
No, to be honest, he with the Bulls, he kind of broke through it. You could see like he was becoming that type of guy, and he was becoming that, and then. As bad as Minnesota was, going over there to Minnesota, hooking up with Tibbs and playing and balling, he started to show it, and it just looks like, man, boy, we just think of it like this. All I'm gonna say is this: put him in this context. Imagine if it wouldn't have made it with. He obviously wasn't gonna make it with Ben Simmons, but if you keep him and Embiid together, does that mentality rub off on him? Now that he's like, does that rub off? Does he, And so there's a bit of a conversation out there. All I gotta say is, Lou Medic, you wild, man. You are wild, bro. I see you, but I don't want to get on that. That Jordan, that topic is touchy to me, so I ain't gonna get on. I'm gonna let you.
I'm over here laughing. Ernest made a comment about my hat. It reminds him of LeBron James, the GOAT. I don't know what the Astros and LeBron got to comment.
Johnny Dante ignore that. And the reason why I ignore that is because we talk about the files. LeBron ain't got nothing to do with this a little bit. Like
LeBron is probably in Bora Bora right now.
Listen, it's bait to get you to answer that, bro.
It's
bait.
Well, LeBron getting ready to. He might be getting ready to recruit because the free agency. Basically, when the finals over, and that's the one thing I was saying about the NBA. A lot of people, he did, but I don't. Here's what I think it is, in a way, until they figure out it's not realistic. They're still thinking on the old model. I don't know where they are in the NBA leadership and knowing the CBA, and I'm just gonna keep harping on this, and I'm gonna get the stuff right before the NBA free agency starts, and we do a show. I'm gonna speak on the different levels of what it is. Long story short, no 3-star rule, no super teams. Because basically, you're going to be paying so much with the salaries going up. You're going to pay so much for these 3 stars that it's not going to work. I think you can still work it on a model if you draft them. But what are the odds of drafting all of the guys? Or if you trade for a guy before he becomes that star, and you can do that. But him coming to LA is not going to work. Kyrie is not taking a pay cut. We have no conceivable way, unless you just gut your team. It would be LeBron, Kyrie, and AD. And bunch of minimum players. LeBron, 30, this level of LeBron can't do that anymore. And then as far as him coming to the Mavericks don't have the flexibility and they don't have the trade assets. So it's just one of those deals where Kyrie recruiting to maybe some other people, maybe that could work. And maybe that was what they needed because the Mavericks have never had somebody to draw players there. Even though players have literally never played for the Mavs, but they will move to the Metroplex and taxes and everything like that, space, cost of living, for especially for wealthy people, and they'll work that out. So he's somebody that can help them in that regard. I just don't know if it'll be LeBron. Now, could it be someone on the lower tier? Like they saw a trade, and Mavericks fans were throwing up on this one. It was a Bogdan Bogdanovic that plays for the Pistons traded him for the 10th pick. And I was like, ooh. I mean, you get off the Tim Hardaway Jr. contract, but I mean, he can't defend, and he's not like a ball handler type. So I don't know. The rumors now, you gotta watch Chris Haynes, you gotta watch Shams Charania, and you gotta watch.
Well, there's a one rumor that's trying to link Zion Williamson to the Rockets.
Who?
Zion, because right now.
Zion, really? You know what? I didn't hear you say Zion. Yeah, I've heard that.
Well,
here's
right
the thing
now,
with
because
that.
New Orleans is basically just they not really get as because
Nope.
I think Zion, when he's healthy, I don't think he's a dominant player. I mean, he's so big in the paint, but the Pelicans, they not getting nothing from that dude.
I've heard whispers, and the closer it gets to the draft is next Thursday. The Pelicans won't Scoot Henderson.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe there's some truth to it, where it's just like we're tired of Zion not performing for us. We want a young guy like a Scoot Henderson. What do you take? Well, Zion, obviously do the Rockets have cap space?
Oh yeah, that
because
was
they were going after Hart, right?
Yeah, but
okay.
they were just unloading everybody. They don't have nobody on the team with a big contract.
So Zion's deal could absorb into the cap space. I'm assuming you swap the picks and maybe some extra stuff. So it's the first thing you got to look at it, and I'll tell everybody in the audience, the first thing you do in the NBA trade season in the free agency, see, does it even make sense? Can you pull it up in trade machine and can you make it work? So I haven't done it in trade machine myself, but just thinking if they have enough cap space, he's probably at the point of his deal before it's super prohibitive to trade him. So he could probably move at a decent rate, add some pieces to it and make it work. But like the LeBron and different players going certain places, it just doesn't make sense. Like I've already seen a video. It's like, I don't think you could get Bradley Beal to the Lakers. Because Bradley Beal, people got to realize the last year of his deal, that's a player option for $57 million. So yes, he's accepting that. He's accepting that. You already know if you get Bradley Beal, you're going to be on him for your team for 4 years. And if he's banged up, that's a hard player to move.
I bet you at this point, Zion Williamson, he's been in the league for 4 seasons. He only played 114 games. He only played 100 because his first season he only played 24. His second season he only played 61. That was the most games he played in his career. He didn't play at all his third season. He was out the entire season.
What's up?
And
you been at?
And this past season he only played 29 games. So as great as a talent that he is, I can understand what New Orleans were like, dude. What is it? 82 games per season?
Yeah.
And you only played 114 in 4 years? They were like, dude, we're not getting nothing from you. We're not getting. But the thing, which I understand because he's such a great talent, the thing they worried about is as soon as we let him go, he will all of a sudden he will just do for whatever franchise he would just do. Because I believe if Zion was healthy and consistently healthy, his talent, he can lead a team to make a deep playoff run. If you build it around it, he can. I don't want to say championship because a whole lot of stuff got to go right to win a championship. It's just just everything. But he can definitely lead a team potentially to make a deep playoff run. But New Orleans. They just getting tired of that dude just sitting around what Medic talking about?
Dude, Medic, man, you the commentator of the day today, bro. You man, I was about to say it. I was trying to avoid that topic. Man, Zion is all NBA and he's playing all 82 games off the court. I'm just gonna say that. He's showing he's playing back to backs. He's tripled. I mean, he putting up 28, 12, and 6 assists off the court. We just need that production. We just need that production on the court.
Dante,
that's what we need.
Dante, no. All y'all fell into the Zion hype. Everybody did, and I'm thinking,
no. I didn't fall in.
No hype.
Here's the thing. I was always concerned, and I
He's
wish we had the
talented,
show
bro.
then. I was concerned about the size. When I saw how explosive he is, I was like, man, he might need to. I was like, the weight wise, like that's a lot running and jumping. It's not like he's in the back posting up and stuff, but the explosion. And I thought, okay, maybe it'll just be like a shorter career. And then it came about, and it's like injuries just kept happening. I always felt I caught on the jaw, and I was just like, the way the league is going, I was like, he's an explosive guard. I was like, that could work. Now, the other stuff I didn't foresee, but was just like Zion. I thought he could be great in the spurt, and so I wouldn't want like I like Victor Wembanyama. I like Chet Holmgren. I wouldn't want my team per se to get them just because risk of injury. I want the player that's more sustainable with being able to be healthy for a long term. Exactly. That's how you make those championship runs.
Right, that's what you want. You don't want a guy that's only 29 games. That's end of it. I mean, like I said, I know we did this with Anthony Davis, but at least Anthony Davis, even if he's injured, he'll try to keep on playing. That's the thing with him. Yeah,
that's the thing. He can be dominant in spurts. And I do.
That one point you just brought up, Jay, Denver was saying the same thing about Jamal Murray. That's what I was finding. Yeah. They was getting frustrated because Jamal Murray, because he was out for basically 2 seasons.
Yeah, he was out
for 2
seasons.
So that's the 2 seasons where Jokic won his MVPs. They didn't have a good playoff appearance on one of them. So,
those 2 years
they was getting frustrated with Jamal Murray because he was trying to get healthy and come back. So, but we coming up on
prayers, though. So I won't say that he did answer their prayers. So
we coming up. We coming up to our final thoughts section really quick because we gotta make room for the next show. And my final thoughts, I guess, is basically we didn't really get into it as a topic on the show, but it's more dealing with. I know me and Dante, you brought it up in our pre-meeting stuff about the NFL. And the stuff that's, the basically free agency in the NFL with DeAndre Hopkins going around interviewing with various teams. Dalvin Cook, he's about to get ready. I mean, it's going to be interesting because Dalvin Cook is definitely looking for the money. I think Hopkins is looking for the money, but I think he may be a little bit more flexible than Cook. That was the main reason why Vikings released him, because they didn't want to pay him that money. And unfortunately, he's a running back, and they don't have that value anymore like that. But the story that just came out recently was the whole Stephon Diggs in Buffalo, because he came up to the practice facility, was only there for a short time, but left before practice. So now you're like, man, what's going on with this dude now? Nobody really knows. People suspect that it was kind of lingering from the end of the season last year. I heard rumors that he wanted them to entertain the thought of getting DeAndre Hopkins because nobody really knows, and we may not ever know what really. Just maybe one day he'll just show up on practice and then everything will be moved forward. But yeah, that's Pop, you got on here too late, man. And but those were the stories that my final thoughts. I was just the stuff, the moving pieces that I'm seeing right now with the NFL.
Okay, well, I know we got to wrap it up, so all I got to say is I'm wearing my vintage Father's Day MLB edition Rangers cap. So happy Father's Day to our dads. If y'all can enjoy yourself. I know I'm going to try to enjoy myself, man. We'll get into some more other topics to the NFL stuff next week and the NBA draft, man. So appreciate everybody in the chat. Appreciate you, Jay. Appreciate you, Hank, and everybody showing up. Appreciate the loves and everybody else in the chat. And we will holler at y'all next week, man.
All right, y'all. Peace.
Y'all take care.
Go. Fire by night and a pillar of vapor by day. Walk through the desert, but when you admire the light, see the villains are paper mache. I'm on the way to the promised land, no contraband. I'm an honest man, I'm coming. Have y'all met me? I'm set free, playing my part like the Red Sea.
Man, I'm from heaven, I'm here with my brethren. The volume's 11, now we're getting rowdy. Swing from the scaffolding, spiritual heaven.